Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and today we're going to be looking at some updates in the Debbie Collier case. I'm really hoping that law enforcement will hold a press conference or make statements or release the autopsy report or anything soon so that we can decipher whether all these things coming from the media, this is now from Now Havisham. We're also going to look at the latest from the Northeast Georgia newspaper, and we'll look at Jeffrey Bearden's Facebook messages as well, his posts. So I really hope they make a statement soon so that we know what's going on in this case, because it's just so bizarre. It's still like, what? So look at this. They say a 6-week-old murder investigation in Havisham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or unaliving. We may live in a world where we never know for sure, the source says. What? I hope we'll know eventually what happened to her. Cryptic message sent from Family Dollar. The biggest revelation in recent days was the discovery that a cryptic message and Venmo payment sent to Collier's daughter Amanda Bearden apparently came from Debbie Collier's phone. I hope that's based on information that law enforcement shared with Now Havisham and their sources, because wow, that would mean that now we know the message didn't come from a different device, it came from Debbie's phone. At 3:17 p.m. on September 10th, Collier sent her daughter Amanda Bearden $2,385 through the Venmo payment app. Along with the money, she sent a message that read, "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door." Sources tell Now Havisham the message was sent during the time that Collier is known to have been sitting in her rented van in the parking lot of a Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia. She also reportedly sent a text to her son saying, "I love you," but that text later found in subpoenaed phone records, would love to see those, didn't go through. So remember when we were saying if this was an unaliving situation, then wouldn't Debbie have left a note or said something to her husband or her son? She was very close to her son. Well, that is a little bit of a concern that she texted the words, "I love you," to her son, right? Let me know what you think. Then, shortly after the messages were sent, on Saturday, September 10th, Collier's phone went silent. She drove away from the Family Dollar store at 3:19 p.m. and was found dead in the woods near Tallulah Falls, about 12 miles south of Clayton, 22 hours later. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. They say gas can experiment. That chilling message and Venmo payment captured investigators and the media's attention because it indicated a possible kidnapping. However, within weeks of launching the investigation, Havisham County Sheriff's investigators dismissed the possibility that Collier was abducted. They zeroed in on people close to the deceased real estate office manager, and as they did, the scrutiny surrounding her husband, Steve Collier, Bearden, and Bearden's boyfriend, Andrew Gigerich, intensified. Investigators questioned them and executed search warrants at their homes in Athens. And although investigators never publicly identified suspects or persons of interest in the case, Havisham County Chief Deputy Murray Kogard insisted that Debbie Collier's death was personal and targeted. Kogard may now be looking for a way to backtrack on that statement. While the state medical examiner has not released a final autopsy report, sources tell Now Havisham it appears Debbie Collier may have died from suffocation as a result of a fire that she herself may have started. Her injuries were consistent with those of someone caught in a flash fire, possibly caused by gasoline vapors igniting. An arson analysis confirmed the presence of gasoline on her clothes. While investigators knew from the outset that an accelerant was used, the absence of a gas container at the scene caused them to suspect someone else was present and had removed the container. After conducting an experiment, investigators confirmed a plastic container could have melted in the fire. It was at that point, weeks into the case, that detectives returned to the scene where Collier's body was found and recovered what appeared to be the burned remnants of a gas can. They say, awaiting official cause and manner of death, Collier appears to have initially survived the fire, which charred her lap and abdomen and apparently burned off the Georgia Bulldog jersey she was wearing. She was found grasping a small tree in her hand as if she had grabbed onto it to keep from falling. The items she bought at the Family Dollar store were found near her partially nude, burnt body. The QR code on a burnt blue tarp is what led investigators to the family dollar store. That discovery ultimately led to the surveillance video with the last known images of Debbie Collier alive. Whether her death was accidental or intentional remains to be seen. Officials have not released the results of her autopsy. Now Habersham has reached out to Habersham County Sheriff Joey Terrell and Kogod for confirmation on the status of the case and will update this article as new information is released. Wow, there's a lot to process just in all of that. So the QR code, that little barcode thing that was left, they say from the blue tarp, is what led them to the family dollar store, and they tracked from there, and that's how they found the surveillance footage. Okay, and her phone was found there, inoperable. Okay, I don't know about Smash, but so her device, her phone, that's where the Venmo came from? And she had Venmo'd her daughter with that message, and then also sent her son a message, I love you, and then her phone was turned off? Wow. I don't know what to think. It just seems like the possibility of a mental health challenge in this moment here, it's possible, right? But let me know what you think. Now let's have a look at Jeffrey Bearden, Debbie Collier's son's latest post on Facebook. Here he says, today I woke feeling emboldened to continue on this journey of understanding why and how all of this transpired. I've been patiently waiting on my hands for weeks now for any type of information to understand what happened to my mother. My family and I have been forced to navigate moments we could have never expected. To say it's been surreal is an understatement. While feeling emboldened to help protect my mother and my family's safety, I made the poor decision today to reach out to Habersham County law enforcement. After several attempts and requests to be up to date on any information shared regarding my mother's case, Debbie Collier, I finally found myself on the phone with the Habersham County Sheriff to express my concerns. My goal in the conversation was to request to be updated on any press briefings, releases, and any other pertinent information since my other attempts were not panning out as promised. I was met with a sheriff who did not empathize with my situation, my concerns for my personal and family safety after being doxxed online, or potential leaks coming out of his office despite several media outlets claiming sources in his own department. He instead used his time to snicker and laugh at my attempts to discuss my concerns and to tell me directly that he wasn't trying to hang up on me when pressing him on his office's actions. Additionally, he claimed that some of their errors regarding poor communication came from short staffing. But he did remind me that the press has the right to free speech. Well, so do I. So I feel compelled to share my experience with the sheriff because I hung up on him abruptly after he continued to snicker, despite my request for him not to laugh at my situation. Like, why is the sheriff laughing at the situation? That is very concerning. Unfortunately, the elected sheriff's attitude and lack of understanding does not give me faith or confidence in their ability to handle her deliberate and personal death, nor does his inability to understand my concerns regarding leaks of information that I assume is only known by those directly working the investigation. I'm no longer feeling emboldened. Now I'm feeling really stuck in a hard place, and I'm asking for the internet's help in this situation to remind me how much people actually care and love for my mother, Debbie Collier. And then he shared this picture here as well. And prior to that post, he said, I'm absolutely disturbed. I'm having to again beg and plead for privacy and respect on behalf of my mother, my family members, and for the people who loved and cared for my mother during her short life. I woke up this morning to another round of media attention and speculation about my mother's passing. I cannot help but find this type of reporting to be extremely lazy, disgusting, and disrespectful, as my family and I have been provided with no information or evidence from any law enforcement officer or agency to validate or support this type of guesswork. My entire family has been hunted since my mother's passing by strangers, independent sleuths, YouTubers who profiteer off the worst day of my life, a distant family member who decided to victim shame my mother on the internet, and the reporters who continue to use my mother's name for clickbait. The public has absolutely obliterated any possibility of a normal experience of grief for my family. For that, I'm not sure I will ever be capable of forgiveness. Please, again, Put down your bows and arrows and stop hunting my family. Please respect my mother. Would you want you and your family's worst day to be exploited in this manner? I truly hope no one ever has to go through this experience and be left as haunted as I am. I think there was something edited here because when I first read it, he talked about YouTubers who make tacky shirts to profit off the worst day of his life. But what do you think about his statements? I mean, that one was 19 hours ago at this point when I'm recording, and this new one was 16 hours ago, so 3 hours after that. So after being upset, of course, with the media, YouTubers, independent sleuths, and all of that, then he decided to call Habersham County the sheriff himself. And to think that the sheriff snickered and laughed and had no empathy is terrible. And here he asked for the internet's help in showing how much people care for Debbie Collier and how much we want justice for Debbie. And here we'll look at the latest from the Northeast Georgian, where they say investigators expect Collier's death to be solved soon. Habersham County Sheriff's investigators have been working for 6 weeks to find the truth about the death of Deborah Collier, and they are closing in on a solution to the case. Colonel Murray Kogart said Tuesday that investigators are waiting on one last piece of evidence to tie the case together before releasing the official statement, which they hope will bring closure to the affair. We have made very significant progress and we are close to a breakthrough, Kogart said. Kogart said that other media reports this week about the case being already solved were unsubstantiated and were not fueled by official sources. Collier drove from Athens through Habersham County on September 10th to Clayton, where she purchased an odd assortment of items, including a tarp, poncho, portable torchlighter, and a tote bag. She then returned to Habersham County and was found dead the next day in a wooded area near Victory Home Lane in Tallulah Falls. Investigators have been treating it as a murder case throughout the process. Collier sent a Venmo message to her daughter along with $2,385, saying, "They won't let me go. There is a key to the house underneath the flower pot." I don't know why they keep quoting that, because it's under or in the blue flower pot by the door. That was the last communication the family had with her. And then if we continue on, they say death on 2A. So if we just scroll back or scroll down, here they say, no persons of interest were identified after extensive interviews with Collier's husband, daughter, and her daughter's boyfriend. The family held a celebration of life over the weekend for Collier. Habersham County Coroner Casey McIntyre has not released the final autopsy report that includes Collier's official cause of death. That report will certainly play into the investigators' final determination. The case has garnered national and even international attention as reporters and true crime podcasts have followed every detail of the case. Well, that's all the latest that I have for you in Debbie Collier's case. Of course, I'm still following it as I have been from the beginning. It's absolutely mind-boggling to even think of this being an accident and involving a gas container. My question would then be, what was she doing? Why did Debbie drive 70 miles to go to a family dollar store, buy that assortment of items, then send the Venmo, turn her phone off, then drive to where her car was found, go into the woods, and then what? Put down the tarp? Oh, are you having a picnic or what's going on, right? Let's put down a tarp. There's the rain poncho. She's wearing a sun visor. She's got a Georgia Bulldogs jersey on, which I'm now thinking could be to blend in more easily if she didn't really want to be noticed or something, because everyone in that day would be wearing that. I don't know, but what was she going there for? It still makes no sense, no matter what it is, whether it's murder, an accident, or unaliving. Oh man, it's still very difficult to understand why did this happen. Let me know. I'm still very interested, as I always am, in all your comments below. Please comment below what you think happened. What is your opinion on this case? And let's hope that very soon there will be a press conference, the release of Debbie Collier's autopsy results, so that we can all try to understand what happened here and how can we help the family fight for justice or get the closure that they absolutely need and deserve. Sending condolences to Debbie Collier's family and friends. This is very difficult, as Jeffrey Bearden said, to deal with a situation like this that makes no sense, to be grieving the loss of your wife, of your mother, sister, friend, work colleague, but in the public eye. That is very challenging. For us over here on Grizzly True Crime, the main goal is, of course, not to exploit a story, is to try to understand what happened here. And again, we want to raise awareness for a case. I really hope that law enforcement will do a good job at fully investigating the case, which I believe they have, and they've had the help of the FBI as well. So I'm not too sure why that sheriff has that sort of attitude. He's also the sheriff that wasn't at the press conference, because I think he was like off sick or something that day. So he wasn't there. So it's interesting how his attitude is. I don't know why that would be, and I really hope that even just the public awareness of that attitude of him snickering and laughing, according to Jeffrey Bearden, that is addressed. It's really not okay to treat family members like that. But yes, as soon as there's any more updates, I will let you know. I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe, hit the bell, leave your comments below. And if you wouldn't mind, please like the video and share the video on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever you can. Hashtag Debbie Collier would be really helpful to categorize it all nicely together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.